Leonardo da Vinci is often remembered as a genius. What is less often examined is how difficult it was to live inside that mind. He existed in a world that demanded results. Commissions completed, patrons satisfied, reputations secured. Yet Leonardo moved differently through time. He lived during the height of the Renaissance, a period obsessed with mastery, progress, and achievement. Florence, Milan, and Rome rewarded those who finished, delivered, and declared. Leonardo rarely did. Much of his life unfolded in pieces: unfinished paintings, notebooks without conclusions, ideas begun and then set aside. To some contemporaries, this appeared as inconsistency; to others, unreliability. And yet, centuries later, his mind continues to feel unusually alive. He isn't remarkable for doing more, but for looking longer, returning to the work long after others had moved on. Leonardo was not restless because he lacked discipline. He was restless because his attention refused to settle prematurely. He understood something quietly unsettling: that understanding is often damaged by the desire to complete it. Leonardo did not separate art from science, or observation from imagination. For him, these divisions were artificial. He studied anatomy not to name parts, but to understand movement. He sketched machines not to build them immediately, but to explore possibility. He painted faces not to idealize them, but to capture the moment before expression settles. Where others sought answers, Leonardo lingered with questions. This placed him at odds with the expectations around him. Patrons wanted certainty, institutions wanted conclusions, the world wanted finished work. Leonardo wanted to look again. This way of thinking carried a cost. Projects were delayed, opportunities slipped away. His reputation during his lifetime was uneven, admired but also questioned. He left many works incomplete, not because he abandoned them carelessly, but because his understanding had moved beyond their original premise. What he began as a painter, he often ended as an investigator. This is uncomfortable to acknowledge, because it challenges a deeply held assumption that progress requires closure. Leonardo's life suggests something else. That depth sometimes requires suspension. That clarity is not always found by finishing, but by continuing to observe over time, without forcing resolution. Leonardo filled thousands of pages with notes. Like Marcus Aurelius, these were not intended for an audience. They were exploratory, disordered, repetitive. He returned again and again to the same themes: water, flight, anatomy, light, proportion. Not because he failed to understand them, but because understanding kept unfolding. He wrote questions to himself, corrected earlier thoughts, contradicted his own conclusions. This was not indecision, it was intellectual honesty. Leonardo allowed his thinking to remain provisional. In a world that rewards certainty, he protected uncertainty. His notebooks reveal a mind unwilling to simplify what had not yet been fully seen. He observed how water moved not once, but repeatedly, under different conditions. He studied the human body not as a static structure, but as a living system shaped by tension and motion. Where others stopped when something made sense, Leonardo stopped only when it stopped revealing. This required patience and restraint, because the temptation to declare mastery is strong, especially when others are watching. Leonardo resisted that temptation. This resistance shaped his relationship with time. He worked slowly, not inefficiently, but attentively. He allowed ideas to mature without forcing them to perform. Many of his most celebrated insights were not recognized as such during his lifetime. Some were never realized at all. And yet, his influence did not diminish. If anything, it deepened. Because his work was not bound to a single conclusion, it remained open to reinterpretation. Leonardo lived with persistent tension between curiosity and expectation, between exploration and obligation, between vision and completion. This tension did not resolve neatly. He carried it throughout his life. There was no moment of synthesis where everything aligned, no final work that gathered all his interests into a single statement. Instead, there was continuity. Attention sustained over decades, observation refined rather than resolved, curiosity protected from collapse. It would be misleading to present Leonardo da Vinci as someone who mastered every domain he touched. He did not finish many things. He disappointed patrons. He left ideas suspended. But achievement does not require closure. Leonardo's contribution lies not in the completeness of his output, but in the quality of his attention. He demonstrated that it is possible to remain curious without becoming scattered, to remain unfinished without becoming careless, to sustain inquiry without turning it into performance. In this sense, Leonardo stands in quiet opposition to conventional success, not progress measured by output, but depth measured by fidelity to perception. He did not rush understanding to meet expectation. He let it unfold on its own terms. That choice is rare, not because intelligence is rare, but because resisting premature certainty requires courage. Leonardo da Vinci is often remembered for what he created, but his deeper legacy lies in how he thought. A mind willing to remain open, a discipline that protected curiosity, a refusal to collapse complexity into convenience. He did not resolve the world. He observed it, carefully, patiently, and without forcing it to end. And that sustained attention, more than invention, reputation, or achievement, is what keeps his mind alive.